What? Handheld Zelda games, a beautiful thing, right? GB, GBC, GBA, DS, 3DS, so many different letters in one number, so many amazing games. But of course, Link isn't the only character in Hyrule to get his own grand tiny screen adventures. Why? Yeah, so for whatever reason, between the years 2006 to 2009, Nintendo and developer Vanpool decided, fuck it, let's give Tingle a shot. When Toad gets a game, everybody cheers. Diddy Kong gets a kart racer, hooray! Pikachu gets a game, and people get confused, but they usually go, yeah, that makes sense. Tingle, on the other hand, like, man, okay. I would have gone with like, a farming sim tower defense from Aliens game with Malin first, and if you reply by bringing up the Zelda game for CDI, congratulations, you're skilled at beating a dead horse, good job. Sure, why not? Tingle works too, I guess. Now don't get me wrong here, Tingle's a fine enough guy, living his life in eternal bliss, has a big thing for balloons, I respect it. He can go on a massacre when he's called on to do so, you know, I didn't see that coming, but that's kinda cool too. And he also goes, what's not to love, right? Truly one of the guys of all time. Now we did already cover the main handheld Zelda games last time, but I just couldn't sleep at night until I knew I had Tingle covered as well. Now I can't tell what's crazier, the fact that Tingle starred in his own video game, or the fact he got 4 of them. I guess at the time Tingle did get a new breath of life when Wind Waker dropped, and looking back, everybody hates the Tingle section of that game, but you know, that still happened. There was that whole Tingle tuner mode for the GameCube as well when you connected a GBA to the console, and that was kinda cute, but even though Twilight Princess was the hot new thing in 2006, and that didn't include Tingle, why not give him something to do, you know? You remember that one time when they gave Link a crossbow? Listen, all I'm saying is Nintendo's never been shy about thinking outside the box with this franchise. Also check this out, if you tilt this around a lot, you know, some games have like a holographic cover. This has one too, but it's a bunch of holographic hearts. You probably can't see it on the video, but it's real. That's kinda cool. Now before we continue, I do want to correct something that I said in the last video. I did mention the whole idea that the third Oracle game that was planned was going to be a remake of the NES game. Apparently that wasn't true. Thank you to the dozens and hundreds of people who let me know in very kind ways in the comments section, thank you. And also, I apologize to the Mega Man Star Force fans because I should have also mentioned that Nintendogs is another game that released with 3 versions on the same day. That made a lot more sense. Should have said that. And then I also found out that Mega Man Star Force fans are real, so that was pretty cool too. I almost considered bringing up the Powerpuff Girls games on the Game Boy Color because they look very similar, and I thought they released at the same time, but no, their releases were actually staggered. So that's kind of interesting. That's a fun little bit of trivia for you. But I haven't played them, so I can't confirm their quality or not. I gotta play good games like freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land. Or, you know, the best game you can play is sitting down and watching me thank the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Some of you may know that in the past I've worked with HelloFresh. Well, did you know that Factor is now owned by HelloFresh? You see, this partnership makes sense now. What makes Factor so special is they deliver fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. And listen, as much as I do love cooking, sometimes I am just too busy, but I still want to make sure that I'm eating well. Cut out the chopping, prepping, and cleanup. All you gotta do is heat up a Factor meal in the microwave, and in just 2 minutes, it's time to enjoy. You can choose from a whopping 34+ weekly flavor-packed meals, so you're guaranteed to find something you'll love. And the options, holy cow, you got these dietitian approved calorie smart options. If you want some extra protein, there are the protein plus options. If you want to level up a little bit, there's the gourmet plus options. Ooh, there are just so many delicious meals to choose from. It's kind of overwhelming, but in a good way. I got this cavatappi and Italian styled pork ragu with garlic broccoli here, and listen, you tell me there's delicious pasta nearby, I gotta jump in. Just a couple of minutes in the microwave and bam, looking pretty good. Factor also has these really tasty fruit and vegetable juices too to pair with the meals, and you can tell they're good because I already drank one before going on camera. Oops. This holiday, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code AntDude50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's AntDude50 at factor75.com for 50% off your first Factor box. It's important to be well nourished because now it's time for weird video games. So in total, we got 2 adventures with radically different playstyles, a smaller Japanese Club Nintendo exclusive, and a Japanese DSiWare exclusive. I got all the Japanese copies right here, though miraculously, the first game did actually get a European release, so we got English readily available. Didn't get an American release though. Clearly America couldn't be trusted. and that's understandable. And thankfully, even though the second game didn't release outside of Japan, it did get a sweet fan translation. And as for that Club Nintendo game, well, that doesn't require any reading ability, so yes, we can all experience the pleasures and the confusing, tingling sensations for the entire Tingle sub-franchise easy peasy. Well, almost. There is that DSiWare game, the Too Much Tingle Pack. It's just a group of toys. Rather than anything substantial, it's kind of weird. There's a coin flipping game, a calculator for both standard equations, and splitting tips between men and women? I got no idea what this is about, honestly. A terrifying Tingle dancer, which makes me feel really weird, though he does look fabulous, I will give him that. There's a tarot card reader, and an alarm clock if you want to wake up to Tingle yelling at you. And who doesn't, honestly? The Tingle resurgence comes to us from Vanpool, a company including employees from a defunct developer, Love de Lick. Yep, that's how you pronounce it. And you may have heard of Vanpool before. They worked on the Dylan's Rolling Western trilogy for the 3DS eShop. They assisted HAL Labs in some Kirby games on the Switch, like Forgotten Land and Return of Dreamland Deluxe. There's the Windrunner minigame and Wii Play Motion, dude, who can forget about that? But the legacy of Love de Lick, God, I hate that name, can be felt in a whole lot more places too. Some of those developers would go on to become Punchline, creator of the cult classic PS2 game, Tulip. There's Audio Incorporated, the creator of the DS RPG Contact, another hidden gem, and even Skip Limited, the creators and killers of Chibi Robo. Makes me sad, probably makes you sad, but that's what it is. But it's their time as their original company, I'm not gonna say it, that's really relevant here because, damn it, I finally get to talk about Moon for a second. Just look at this game for like 20 frames, and it's clear where Tingle's roots are stemmed from. Moon, the remix RPG adventure, is a game like no other. An adventure where the, quote, hero is causing havoc, killing hundreds with reckless abandon, and you play as essentially an NPC in this world, trying to fix all of the damage. It's all about exploring this mysterious land, abiding by all the inhabitants' weird rules no matter how wild they are, and helping them out by any means necessary. You never know what you're gonna expect in a game like this, and it makes for an incredibly unforgettable adventure. It follows no rules whatsoever, and it feels like a fever dream the entire time. Highly recommended, that's awesome. The best part is that it's actually readily available for modern consoles now, which is crazy because this used to be another one of those games that was simply, quote, too weird for America, releasing for the PlayStation 1 in Japan and staying there for well over 20 years. So, fast forward to 2006 and yeah, here we are. In regards to the seminal title in this resurgence, Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, and not releasing in America, well, it seemed pretty apparent that Americans just didn't care about it, and Nintendo didn't shy away from that either, going so far as to create an online survey to gauge interest promoted in Nintendo Power. Obviously, they thought Europe can handle this back in 2006, but I'm assuming the sales were so poor the person who decided to localize it was never heard from again. You gotta remember, this is a pre-Operation Rainfall world here. Nowadays, like anything weird will release in the States and Europe, like it doesn't matter. If it has a title and a title screen and you can push buttons into it, it'll release, it doesn't matter. But back then, not so much. Us Americans just could not register in our dumb American brains the quirkiness that Japan had to offer. And if this IGN article from the Tokyo Game Show 2005 is anything to go by, we've seen a screenshot, but it's so confusing that we don't know what to make of it yet. Ultimately, it makes sense why America didn't get the game at the time. Nintendo had to save shelf space for Sudoku Gridmaster and Magnetica instead. Clearly, they're more important. But hey, you know that Tingle Tuner mode from Wind Waker? Why not? Let's give that guy his own games. There's not a whole lot when it comes to the specific development history of this Tingle sub-series, but if you really look at the entire timeline of these developers, it's actually kind of crazy. These games didn't just appear out of nowhere in a puff of smoke and we all just accepted it. Though realistically, if that was the backstory, that would actually make sense. Already feeling a little uncomfortable with the Tingle close-up? We're off to a great start. Welcome to the whimsical world of freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land. The story begins with a casually dressed Tingle scratching his ass. Exactly what I was hoping for. He's a 35-year-old man trapped in the monotony of everyday life. Ha, relatable, am I right? But today is different. He is quickly guided to a nearby pond and he encounters the enigmatic Uncle Rupee, who persuades Tingle to work with him to reach paradise in Rupee Land. Food, relaxation, women, oh boy, sign me up! You are then gifted the famous green tights and are told to now sacrifice rupees to the pond in order to continue your adventure. Oh, and then you're told how to save the game by the scantily clad fairy in pink named Pinkle through this Tingle Tuner-like device because of course. This is one of those games where you don't really ask questions. From this point forward, it's all about amassing as much money as possible by any means necessary in a pursuit of the divine goal. And as God or Uncle Ruby has intended, it's batshit insane. You see, I made the foolish mistake of thinking, okay, it's an adventure game in the Zelda universe, it probably plays like a Zelda game. No. Yeah, no, that was stupid of me to assume. You do move around the world in a top-down perspective and you can talk to NPCs. That's about where the comparisons end. Very quickly you're given a combat tutorial and like, it's weird. When you touch an enemy, you start brawling in a giant cloud and eventually just hope that they die before you do. Kinda like the frog game on Game Boy, see, it all ties together. You don't really have any direct control with the combat, you just sort of let it happen. You can tap the enemies with a touchscreen to make it go a little bit faster, but it just happens, man. As the fight continues, you will slowly lose money, which is a big deal because not only is that your primary collectible, it's also your health. Lose all your money and you die. Making this the most realistic Zelda game to date. Oh hey, look at that, a shovel! Like Link's Awakening. You see more callbacks. This really is a Zelda game after all. As long as you do a good job maintaining a solid safety chest of cash, however, there is nothing to worry about, because there are many different ways to fill your pockets. Sometimes you may find rupees just out and about the land. There are sometimes some puzzles to solve, of course. You can also gather items that you can cook back at your home to sell to people back in town. I wouldn't trust a single thing this guy cooks, but hey, at least he's getting paid. But ultimately, you gotta spend money to make money. Virtually every interaction with the world's eccentric NPCs comes at a literal cost. For many of them, before they even get close to helping you, you have to pay them first. And the thing is, you won't know the exact price until you make an offer. And lowballing them not only results in a harsh rejection, but for many, they will keep your money anyway? Like, oh no, you screwed up. I'ma still get that though. You can try again. I'm not gonna help you, but yeah, you can give me more money, that's fine. Not every character works this way, but the fact that there is a non-zero amount of people who do is insane. And sometimes it's the other way around. You'll help someone, they offer to pay you, but how much is up to you. And if you ask for too much money too many times, they will pull back on the offer, and that's it. F you, I guess. Knowing I have to pay money, not knowing how much I have to pay, and getting penalized if I pay the wrong amount. What is this, the American tax system? Eventually you run into this dog and he just decides to stay at your home, and then he has green tights of his own while he's there, and this is Barkle. I love him and I will die for him. You want to get past this guard to visit the town? It'll cost you. You want this weird bald kid to finally give you the map to the level? Be prepared to pay up. You ever consider hiring these beefy YMCA dudes to repair bridges for quicker access to previous areas? Well, losing a substantial sum is in your future. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, dude, and with the maps, like, okay, so you buy the map, right? And then you can fill it out with landmarks and report back to this map lady in town to get some more rupees. Great, it's an excellent way to get a bunch of cash as soon as you get to a new area. Awesome. But if you have a completely filled up map and then report back, she will then by force buy the entire map back from you and will sell it back to you for more than she just spent. And you go back to being mapless for that area, so good luck remembering where things are. What do you mean? And then like, at the end of the game when you give her back every single map, she dies. Okay, bye then. It is so bizarre having an adventure with such a loose, figure it out yourself progression system in a Nintendo game. This is very unusual. Off, my valiant stallion, to war we must go. The only other time I can think of a Nintendo game that does something this weird with the in-world economy is Rusty's Real Deal Baseball for the 3DS, but instead of in-game currency with that one, you were actually haggling with real-world money, which is kinda cool. Sure, the relevance in this comparison is very minimal, but damn it, if I don't talk about Rusty, who will? He just wants to see his kids. While haggling is the main theme throughout the entire game, the most common form of this comes in the form of these bodyguards. Every major area has this bar with 3 guards accessible, of varying sizes and battle styles. Some are willing to jump in if you get into battle first, some will just go guns blazing and get into battles whether you want them to or not. Either way, by having any of them by your side, combat is made much easier. Enemies will go down a lot quicker with less money lost, meaning you will have more money to spend later on. Ah yes, who can forget everybody's favorite hidden gem Nintendo character, Steroido. Or, you know, you could just spend every rupee you have on something that you don't need to worry about yet, like the tower, and like practically soft lock yourself out of progression because you now have nothing to work with and you're just gonna die in one hit. So you have to grind for pennies or for items to cook for things to sell back to town, and you just do that ad nauseum until you get your thousands back. What is this game? Listen, playing this game as they intended is an absolute nightmare. I will not lie, I did many a saving and restarting every time I screwed up because I don't have time for this. Time is money. That should be the moral of the game. As the adventure progresses, you drop more and more rupees into the fountain, the tower will continue to grow, and Grandpa Rupee here gets more suspicious over time. But it's okay, you fly to the new area anyway, and you kinda just wander around until you succeed at whatever the quest for that land is. I like this one in particular, where you work with the skeleton pirate crew, and there's this choir of haze playing behind you. That's a real jam, I like it. While most of the time it is just some little side quests here or there are some honest to goodness dungeons as well. This little bit of classic Zelda and an otherwise wild adventure is a calming return to form, and a reminder that at the end of the day, this is still part of that famous series that we all know and love. Oh god, what the f is that? Never thought I'd see the day, but I think I finally found a DS game with far too much animation. There's boss fights in this game, didn't see that coming. They are few and far between, but damn it, they continue to be the weirdest things I ever encountered. Sure, on the bottom screen, the Stalfos fight doesn't look too abnormal. It has pretty good animation here. It doesn't have too much animation like the spider thing. This looks pretty nice. But you look at the top screen, yeah, you know, of course, modified Punch-Out arcade sprites. Good. Eventually, if it weren't obvious by now, Papa Rupee is clearly taking advantage of us with every single bit that we throw at him. It turns out this entire time, he was lying to us. You son of a bitch! I had an inkling something was wrong when he was starting to pick on this oddly realistic meat surrounded by Agent Smiths. Yeah, this was the moment I knew something was fishy. But with the ultimate rupee finally in our possession, it is time to kick his ass. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, he's pissed off now. Oh, this part, okay, get ready. Get ready for the 3D Tingle jump scare. Oh my god, of course, we're on the moon now, and we're about to dethrone God. It's like a classic JRPG. Or a Kirby game. Okay, oh, okay, cool, yeah, a shooter segment. Okay, and I'm using my life points with the rupees, of course, yeah, why not? Oh my gosh. He big. As his final straw, he turns into a giant rupee with the mustache. How evil, but of course, don't worry about it. He is quickly defeated by the overwhelming power of too much money. All of the wealth now gets distributed throughout the land, and that's it. That's how it ends. Unless you do all of the side quests, you fill up Tingle's attic with a bunch of goodies, and you unlock this secret area where you discover that Pinkle is actually a real fairy that's been held captive this entire time, and freeing her will assist you in the final fight. You see, you're wearing pink tights now. That's the more deadly color. Completing the game now will then reward you with the paradise you have been fighting for this entire time. Good for him. A couple creepily detailed sprites later, the credits roll, ending freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land. Is it weird that I like this game a whole lot more than the actual Zelda games that were released for this console? I mean, like, one has a choo-choo train and that's kind of cool, but this one has Steroido in it. I mean, that answer's obvious. Before moving on to the sequel, there's a little spin-off I want to talk about too. Tingle's Balloon Fight. It's Balloon Fight. But Tingle's here. Hey. This isn't even like the weirdest balloon fight game. Like, that's the most bizarre part about all this. Did you know there was a full-blown Game Boy sequel called Balloon Kid that actually got a Famicom port called Hello Kitty World? I had no idea the Balloon Fight IP was this flexible. Even more interesting, Tingle's Balloon Fight was a Club Nintendo Japan exclusive. You had to earn the right to play this game. The best part of all this is probably the box art. A haphazardly cut out picture of Tingle hastily taped onto the existing Balloon Fight box art. I love this. Why stop a balloon fight, you know? Tingle Champion, Tingle Land, Tingle Hunt. There is so much potential here that's just squandered. You gave Luigi a whole year, damn it, do the same with Tingle. Boom, boom, boom. Ripened, Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love. From freshly picked to ripened, that's a damn good title. I am immediately excited and also terrified. The story begins in a similar fashion. Casual Tingle is just chillin' when he suddenly falls for an ad read about a book that tells the story of a hero that leaves his parents to save a princess. And hold on a second, let me check the time. Look at that! Tingle doesn't have a girlfriend. Sign him up immediately. Clearly, as someone with access to same-day delivery, he gets the book as soon as he clicks the buy button without even using a coupon code. He opens it up, and oh man, he gets sucked into its pages. And thus, the adventure begins. To find a girlfriend, I guess? I don't know. I can't move? Am I doing something wrong here? My D-pad just doesn't work with this. Oh, wait, it's a point and click? Walking from area to area, talking to NPCs, zooming in to investigate items, there is no combat. What? I thought the sequel was gonna play at least somewhat similar to the last game, but no, they went and threw us a total curveball by switching up the entire genre. Good day, I am Pig. Yes. Being a more traditional point-and-click adventure, progression is a lot more straightforward. Tingle, my guy, what is you doing? You're not a badass. There's a more conventional chapter structure now, with each page of this love book taking you to a new location, and each page featuring a few chapters that conclude once you do something. Man, like, it's just something. You gotta do something, and then a text thing will pop up, and then, okay, I'm on the next chapter. It's whatever happens, happens. Sometimes you're fastening bolts onto these pipes. Sometimes you're using a slingshot to hit targets. Sometimes you gotta do whatever you can to reclaim all of the runaway train parts in order to get the train to move. One time, you gotta chat up Corn Boy. Dude, they got Corn Boy in this? And unlike Rosie Rupee Land where you work with whatever bodyguard you can afford, shout out once again to my boy Steroido, this time you actually have a full party joining you. You got the Scarecrow Boy Kakashi, the Robot High Priestess Bariki, and the Scaredy Cat Lion Warrior, Lion. That's his name. And wait a minute. For this quest, you're told to simply follow this yellow brick road. There's this nice witch that helps push you in the right direction. There's an evil witch as the final antagonist. There's a dog. This is a big old Wizard of Oz reference? Yo, my favorite part about that movie is when Dorothy has to poop and it's accompanied by the Mario Star theme. Who can forget that bombshell cinematic moment? The Wizard of Oz comparisons are certainly very strange, but honestly, Kakashi, Bariki, and Lion are all pretty strong characters in their own regards. The developers were clearly inspired, but rather than simply trying to squeeze Tingle into this classic story, there was a lot of effort made to make these characters stand out in their own peculiar ways, like Kakashi is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, just happy to be there and provide some assistance. Bariki is more of a passive observer, witnessing all of the insanity that befalls her new party with a very cold demeanor, and slowly watching Lion overcome his fears to utilize his strength is pretty damn charming. And dude, who can forget about the buff squirrel that knocks your lights out? Tell me, just try and tell me that this game isn't better than Phantom Hourglass. I dare you. There's no place like Hyrule. There's no place like Hyrule. Before long, Tingle learns that the only way to get out of this book and go back home is to go to the city and dance with the princess of the world. But it's not just that one princess you're trying to swoon, no. It's any female you come across, you're trying to win them all over, any of them. He doesn't care, he doesn't judge, it's any of them. There are 5 primary ladies that you can win over for the final dance, and you have to maximize your relationship with at least one of them to secure the best ending. All of the other women you can perform your love magic on are either there for progression or just to fill out your little black book with some more hearts. He's just spreading his love as far as he can, man. I respect the ambition. But that is simply what you have to do. How do you do that? Well, it's finally time to win over the girl. Welcome to the love push mode. Throughout your journey, you can acquire a bunch of different presents that all fit into a few different categories, and here in Love Push, it is up to you to try different items to figure out just exactly what the girls like. This is giving me big Persona vibes, that's all I gotta say. And you would think it would take a bit of an understanding of who the character is at their core to know what works and what doesn't, but no. Each item just fits into one of 5 categories and 1 or 2 of 5 descriptors, and it all comes down to what they like, what they dislike, or are indifferent to, and those factors alone carry a lot more weight than the character's actual personalities. Like, that doesn't matter at all, just throw things at them, and if it's a hobby, cool. If they hate hobbies for whatever reason, because who doesn't hate hobbies, just don't give them those things. That's all it boils down to. Reducing a woman's preferences to a bunch of superficial descriptors and then just feeding them a ton of gifts so you can get what you want, and then leaving. Yeah, I can see why this game didn't get localized now. Granted, a lot of the women immediately are scared of you because of your less than model worthy appearance, so, oh man, this is just bad on all fronts. The way this game was structured is certainly one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen Nintendo be a part of, but personally, this is so stupid and dumb and over the top, I'm just enjoying the ride. Having a game all about making girls love you with items, like, sure, that's weird, but it's Tingle. It's this thing! Look, a minigame all about picking turnips out of the ground, preceded by the Super Mario Bros. 2 character select screen. I'm just here for the absurdity, man. I love this. The rupee haggling and the world exploring approach of Rosie Rupee Land was certainly a lot of fun, but I think the point and click character interaction based approach of Balloon Trip of Love is actually more fitting of this take on the character, and certainly shows the narrative strengths of the developer, because peak love-to-lick styled games often revolved around having a relatively boring character entering a crazy world, and rather than having you ask any questions, you just roll with the punches and figure things out as you go. Finally, a game where Tingle can pick up dog poop. Yes! Of course. Alright, monkey, shake this tree! Thank you. You got these behind the back dungeons that you get to go through when you want to grind out some money, ending with this creepy, dancing Majora's Mask style Tingle. You eventually, thanks to the Good Witch, get your iconic balloons, and you can use them to travel through time. Of course. There's a desert that's filled with turn-based battles. It's the only place in the game that does this. Chibi Robo! Chibi Robo! Oh man, that just makes me so damn happy. Dance, Tingle. Dance. Tingle Goat. Oh my god, it's a Tingle Goat. The overall presentation of this game, it is just fantastic. Since exploration is no longer confined to the top-down format of Rosy Rupee Land, all of the areas here are a lot more dynamic, colorful, and bustling with NPCs. Tingle actually ends up blending in with the absurdity of the rest of the world a lot more than the last adventure. And when you finish a page and move on to the next one, there's this great drawing that illustrates what you just went through, and it's just so charming. This game has such a great style that somehow took Tingle, this cursed thing from the Zelda universe, gave him this relatively adorable redesign, and crafted a world around him that actually makes sense for this character. I can't believe it. For the majority of this game, I was having a great time. The wackiness that ensues and how Tingle reacts, it's awesome. It's awesome. That being said, there is one part of the adventure that really falls flat, and it's the way to get the true ending. Throughout the journey, you interact and get at least one full heart out of the women that you get the option to dance with near the end of the game, like I mentioned earlier. But if you keep pushing through towards the end and never go back in time with the balloons, your dances with them only end up being just okay. What you gotta do now is go on these pretty obscure quests back to the previous pages and do some more trial and error present giveaways in order to get even more hearts with them and make your final dance even more spectacular. To give the game credit, these side quests are pretty elaborate, but you have no guidance on how to start them, so just keep going and figuring things out, or just go on GameFAQs, I don't care. Eventually you'll find your way to the big castle that houses the princess. But oh no, she's sick! Another big elaborate point and click quest later, you get access to the Deku Tree's tears, which are able to miraculously cure her of her illness. But it's clear that this sickness was no freak accident, with one of the servants obviously being behind all this. Throughout the journey, there are these few obnoxious blondes that are blocking your path, this pesky rich kid and this pompous prince, the latter of which frames you for crimes in the castle. What a convincing set of disguises. And then you get a classic break out of jail scene, I love it. But the mission is clear, we gotta get back to the princess. Now at this point of the game, I don't know if you had the 3 characters based on the Wizard of Oz sacrificing themselves so Tingle can achieve his ultimate goal on your bingo card, but it happens. It happens to all 3 of them. Okay. I wasn't about to go for full completion here. I wasn't gonna romance every single girl on offer. I don't got that kind of time. Of the 5 options, I went for the train girl that initially barely makes an impact on the story. Listen, the glasses, the extreme hyperfixation over something trivial like trains, ready to go off in extreme detail to anybody that would listen. She's a YouTuber in the making, dare I say, I'm smitten. Azusa, my beloved, stay with me forever and talk about trains. You are the coal that keeps my steam engine running. I'm sorry about that. And with her heart finally mine, it is time for the grand finale dance. That little blonde twerp keeps trying to make a move on my girls, but I won't let that happen. Check out these moves. Oh yeah. 5 dances later, Tingle can finally get with the princess and go back home. But wait, no. It turns out the princess is fake, and your friends are alive! Oh my god. The evil witch steals your princess, and now it's time to get her back. For real this time. Oh, I don't know if I like this. I mean, I guess it is a boss fight. You just keep pelting her with pheromone shots over and over and over again until she crumbles. And no, I'm not lying. The game says pheromone shots. I know it's a fan translation, but I would assume that's what they intended. It's pheromone shots. We're Galgun up in here now. And before you know it, the princess is saved. Justice is finally served with the witch and the annoying prince now imprisoned for their crimes, and it is finally time for Tingle to go back home. One final dance with your true love is all it takes to open the portal, but I don't want to leave. I want to stay in this book world with all of these characters that I now love. And I mean, let's be real. Tingle barely makes any appearances in the Zelda games after this. Would he even be missed? Why would I want to go back? Easy choice. You don't even have to ask. I will now stay with these characters. The credits roll featuring a charming Where Are They Now segment for all of the characters, and that ends ripened Tingle's balloon trip of love. Oh, sorry, I'm lying. Barkle then pees on the book that you're in first, and now the game's over. Now with these games surely selling dozens of copies, of course a third game has to be in development. Right? Not much is known about what the future was going to hold with this sub-series, but apparently a horror game was being considered for the next genre, which would have been amazing. And then you could have called it Newly Plucked, Tingle's Spooky House, and it would be based off of Friday the 13th or something, I don't know. Chibi Robo, Captain Rainbow, Dylan's Rolling Western, Tingle. These creative minds behind these franchises have a really bad habit of making these intriguing stories and fascinating worlds, only for the universe to not buy the games and then remind me that no one else cares and I'm not allowed to love things. After contributing a bunch of unique games, as well as helping out with some Kirby titles in recent years, Vanpool has sadly closed its doors on May 31st, 2023. The Tingle series only lasted 2 main games, but if you're interested in experiencing easily the weirdest things Nintendo has ever done, Rosie Rupee Land and Balloon Trip of Love are must-plays. And if this truly is the end, Tingle floating off into the sunset with the love of his life, couldn't ask for a better ending than that. This pair of Zelda games is a whole lot better than this pair of Zelda games, and no, I'm not kidding. So yeah, we got the Zelda games out of the way, we got the Tingle games out of the way as well. All that's left are the multiplayer games, right? Triforce Heroes, Four Swords Adventures, games like that. But even Tingle's Balloon Fight has 2 to 4 player multiplayer. That's kind of surreal. Guess I gotta call some friends.